Let's get ready to rumble!
Hello and welcome to Netflix vs. Cinema, the podcast that has gotten over its despair that there are no cinemas and has figured that we can still do something. My name is Tosin. I am based up near Coventry in the Midlands, and joining me on the Isle of Wight are Sharon.
Hello.
And also joining me, all from Bournemouth, from his childhood bedroom, is Sharon.
Hello there.
Yes. Oh, all right. So we managed to come back last week. We managed to do a show where we spoke about, the love of cinema, the power of cinema, use whatever sort of cliche term you want to use. And we might speak about that last week. How have you guys been doing since then?
Yeah, I've been doing really, really well. I think I said, did I say to you last week I joined a couple of Facebook pages?
Yes, you said.
Yeah,
I think the Westerns one, and I've spent I joined the Wild Bunch Westerns and Warren Oates, and I spent most of the time on Westerns really, and I've done loads and loads of posts, and I've just had so many people talking and it's just great to find loads of people that are just like, well, I've been talking to people from all over the world about favourite quotes from films and what's good, what's bad, what we love. So rather a lot of time, and I also caught up on The Walking Dead. So I watched The Walking Dead.
Oh,
I thought it's got better actually. I thought it got better the last few series.
It's a time jump because they've jumped ahead in time, haven't they? And they've got the Whisperers.
They got the Whisperers, yeah.
Haven't they jumped ahead a couple of times in The Walking Dead? I say this.
Yeah, they tend to.
Yeah.
I say this.
This is being thematic, though. This is years.
Yeah, being a show that I don't watch, and being a show that, if I'm going to be honest, I have. There's things about The Walking Dead that I feel they should have ended a long time ago. I'm like, what? How much story do you have? And I feel like they just. I feel like they just keep adding stuff to make it last longer.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to admit, it's not as good as the early. It's definitely not as good as the early, but it's got a little bit more action in, and because it did go a bit sort of soap opera-y, I think, for a little while, and it was like, oh no, but now it's got more back to the blood and guts. Stupidly, not as quite as clever, because I think there's a few issues with it, like continuity and stuff going on. But the actual, should we sounds really crude, doesn't it? The actual killing the zombies and the Whisperers and it's gone back to major scenes of zombies getting their heads sliced off and stuff. But I did think for a short time, it went a bit soap opera-y.
Yeah.
But it's nowhere near as good as it was the first. I think probably the first 4 episodes, maybe, and it started to decline a bit, and then it just went a bit, soap opera-y, but now it's got. Or put it this way, I'm enjoying it. I don't know if it's because I can watch them one after the other, but I'm actually enjoying it.
Okay, cool.
Although there are some silly bits, there's some bits that I could,
I've been able to watch it from the beginning.
Yeah. Have you seen the latest ones, Sharon? Have you? The bit where? Well, I'm a bit. Let's just say one of the main characters, from what happened to him, I don't think he'd have been. I don't think he'd have been quite as survived. Should we say? I'm amazed he survived. Really.
Okay.
What I do is I just say garage scene, alpha, knife. Do you know?
I know the scene you mean.
What do you think?
Well,
Sorry.
He had help, didn't he? There was someone
he did. Yeah. I know. I mean, very fortunate, should we say, for the amount of time that passed. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, enough.
Okay. Let's put it this way. All right. That there is. So recently we spoke about The Invisible Man, the TV show The Invisible, and there was a bit where Sean was thinking that's so stupid, and I had to sort of watch it and give Sean a counterpoint to that. And this is it's a bone of contention between Sean and I, because Sean can't believe that I am forgiving of it. There is no way I can pretty much guaranteed that I'm never going to be able to watch The Walking Dead and give you a counterpoint to this scene, Sean, because this is a show that I think I saw the first 3 episodes or something. I went, ooh, yeah, that looks interesting. Maybe I'll catch it because I didn't have Sky, and I was like, I'll catch it when I can actually get them together. And then when I got to like season 7 or something, I'm like, what do you mean this show is still going? And I would hear the recap of every single season, and I'll be like, isn't that the same stuff that happened the last season? Isn't that the same arc that happened in the last season? And so when you said soap opera, I mean, honestly, this is a show that, in my head, that is how I see this show. I see it as a soap opera. I see it as the Grey's Anatomy of the zombie genre. It's just going to keep going, and regardless of whether the quality goes up or down, they're just going to keep finding a way to resuscitate. Oh my God, it's so like a zombie. They're going to keep finding a way to bring it back to life, just like a zombie. Oh, but yeah, no fan.
They've had
Can I just
showrunners
Sharon,
over the years. We've had 3 different showrunners who've directed it. So I think as they've changed showrunners, you get a different emphasis. And
what's your take on it, Sharon? Do you enjoy it?
I still like it. Yeah, I haven't missed an episode.
No,
I don't like it. And I don't mind the soapy aspects of it, because you do see the progression of these characters from when you first meet them to their life experiences and what makes them the way they are. So I don't mind that.
Yeah, but where is it going?
Where's it going? I don't know that it ever ends.
Exactly.
That's why the series has been put on hold. There's another one, isn't it, that jumps forward 20 years into the future, and it's all about the grown up post-apocalypse. And it's their experiences of growing up in a world. And so, who knows? But yeah, there are now these sister shows, like there's Fear the Walking Dead, and there's, I forget the name of the new one that has been postponed.
Yeah, Fear the Walking Dead. Have you been watching that? Have you been watching that? Fear the Walking Dead? Sharon?
Fear the Walking Dead, yes, I've been watching that. Though I am a season behind, because I'm not prepared to pay for it. It's like we talked about last week, didn't we, with the cinema?
Oh yeah, who's paying for that? No.
So I have Sky, but Fear the Walking Dead has been on AMC, which you have to have. You can only get through BT Vision or whatever, the BT television thing. I think, hang on, I pay for Sky, I pay for my Cineworld thing, I pay for Amazon. I'm not paying again. Yeah. So when it's a season old, it then comes onto Amazon Prime. So I've seen up to season 4 of Fear the Walking Dead, but it's still, you have to pay for season 5. And I'm thinking, no, I'm not paying again. I'll pay for every other darn thing. So I'm going to wait, and then I'll watch season 5.
The thing is with watching these things, sorry, Toes, we'll let you talk. The thing is watching these things is I was looking on the internet to see what were the best episodes because I've got my favourite episode. And I have to say, on all the sort of polls I've looked at, the all-time Walking Dead episodes, my favourite one is the Terminus one, which I think that was season 2, was it?
When Carol comes into the Terminus, or when they first go in.
When it all kicks off, with like the slaughter scene and stuff. So yeah, that's always been my favourite episode. It's always stuck in my mind, that one. You know the one I'm talking about, huh?
Yeah, I know.
You see, I no.
No, okay.
I'm sorry. Like, it's like the fact that I hate it when I can't see an end to something. I hate it when it's like I was speaking to. Okay, so last week we were talking about the first ever trip we took to the cinema, and I was talking about how I went to the Swiss Cottage Odeon with my friend Sharon, and he has this whole thing where, because in my time, I've been doing a lot of playing sort of crossword games. There's one particular one called Cody Cross that I've been playing, and I think I might have sent you guys a clue once when I couldn't figure out what a clue was, and I couldn't
get it. I couldn't work it out.
Yeah, and so every now and then I send a clue to people, and I go into this one particular category where the person who wrote this crossword was obviously a fan of a Japanese manga or a Japanese anime called Dragon Ball Z. And he kept having all these clues that I could tell this was a Dragon Ball Z thing, but I didn't have the answer to it. And so I would send them to 2 of my friends, Sharon and Benga, and Sharon would be like, "Oh yeah, that's obvious. Oh, that's this. That's for this. That's that." It's like, "Oh, what do you mean you haven't watched Dragon Ball Z?" And I was like, "Yeah, I watched one. They call them sagas instead of seasons. They have them sagas, like they have the Frieza saga, the Cell saga." And I was like, I watched the Freezer saga, and then it started getting a bit silly because it would take 1 week for a fight to finish. And then after they would say, this guy is now the most powerful person in the world. Oh my God, he's so powerful. And then get to the next saga and they'll be like, oh, by the way, he wasn't really that powerful. Here's someone who is even more powerful. And I was like, this is not going to end. It's just not going to end. And so I sort of switched off, but he was like, no, you need to watch some of them. And there's some Japanese shows that I will not get into because they have 500 episodes and they haven't ended. Yeah. Like Bleach. Bleach has 500 shows.
I've seen those on Netflix.
Yeah, and it hasn't ended.
One of them was a Korean one. I thought, I saw an advert for it. I thought, that looks quite good. And I looked and I thought, okay, how many episodes in the season? And I started scrolling down. And I got like RSI before I got to the bottom of the episode list. There's like 400 episodes.
I really like anime, but I don't like the series. I just like the movies, the odd movie here and there.
Yeah, give me the odd movie. Give me something that I know is a contained story. Give me something that I know is going to end at some point. Don't give me something that carries on indefinitely. And that is my big problem, because I think after a certain time, TV shows, when they keep going, they get to that point where they essentially become soap operas, and it's keeping it going is more interesting than telling a good story. It's more important to them than telling a good story. And I feel like The Walking Dead is there. So I feel The Walking Dead is there. It's like keeping it going is more important than telling a good story. So
yeah, another thing, I don't know about you guys, is I've been watching some just normal straight on TV movies. I mean, I think I said last week I watched The Spy Who Came Out In From the Cold, didn't it?
Yeah.
Did I say that? Mention that last week? Yeah. So, what's other things I watched? So I watched I watched Total Recall, the remake version again, which I'd seen.
Oh, the one with Colin Farrell.
But I watched the one with Colin Farrell. That's it. And so I've been, because what I've been doing. Well, I mean, when I say I've been watching them, they've sort of been on, and I've been doing the Western Movies Forever in the Facebook thing,
Yeah. So what is the name of this group? Let's give them a shout out on. Let's give them.
Western Movies Forever.
Western Movies Forever. So Western Movies Forever. Say at least that we've spoken about them, and see Western Movies Forever.
It's just really good because I can, you have conversations about, remember that bit and this bit, and so I spent quite a lot of time really. I've got lots of likes. I got quite a few likes on some of my posts. So, and I mean, which it's good though, Toes, because I'm becoming a bit more au fait with typing now and sending stuff off.
Yep.
Although the biggest problem I have is I do tend to hit the return button when I want to hit the delete button, so they get so when a post comes up, it's not finished. You know what I mean? So I have to put about 3 posts that will come up. Oh yeah, and then so and so says we built it. So I keep hitting the return, which before I finish saying what I want to say. So it all looks a bit odd, but I mean, I'm getting there.
Oh, we are happy to help you with your technological fight, Sean.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, as I say, I did. Oh yeah, I might have to send you my Blair Witch. Oh,
you did a spoiler rant for the Blair Witch.
Well, no, not a spoiler rant. I did a Blair Witch thing when I was in the thing. It's not a useless one, but I might do one. I might actually go over there tonight. The sun's actually come out. I might do a Blair Witch run, and I might do a rant.
Have you started doing parodies? Have you started doing film parodies now?
Yeah, film parodies. Well, trouble is I take little clips here and there. It's like, which path should I take? Blah blah blah. But they're all little clips. And the trouble is with me, Tosin.
Mm-hmm.
You obviously editing is. I think I should just send a whole bunch to you, and you put it into a nice little montage, because I've got all these videos on my phone, loads of stuff, like maybe 30 seconds, a minute, 20 seconds, whatever.
Yep.
But I never really clear them out. And I've got an editing suite, and I've got 4 different things going, and it's just all over the place. I need to because I've been told really you should delete stuff as soon as you filmed it, really, or keep the stuff you want and then get rid of stuff like that.
Sean, you were talking about being on becoming a star on Facebook groups, and people are beginning to sort of finally you're getting the online recognition you deserve, and people are finally beginning to realize your wisdom, your Western wisdom.
Wow. Western wisdom, love it. Yeah, I mean, it's amazing, isn't it? How people are there's other groups as well. I started off someone invited me to the Wild Bunch fan page,
Yep.
And like once you go to one place, and then I got invited to the Warren Oates one, and then this Westerns Forever. And I looked at that and I thought, yeah, I've got so much Western in the way of front of house stills and posters and stuff. I just got to go on that. And I've spent most of the time. It's really difficult though, because I thought, right, I'm going to spend one day on movies of the 70s, one day on Wild Bunch, one day on, but I tend to nearly spend all my time on Westerns Forever, so I really need to get a bit more disciplined.
Well, for those of you who've been listening to the podcast, you would know that Sean is a massive Western fan. The Wild Bunch is your favorite film, and when it comes to your favorite actors of all time, Warren Oates is pretty high up there.
Yeah, that's it.
All right, cool.
I tell you what, I saw Stanley Tucci. What was it?
Stanley Tucci.
Something. Tucci, that's him, in something, and I thought he was all right in it.
Oh,
so, yeah.
Sure, don't get up.
Praise indeed.
Yeah, okay, so Sharon, what did you say?
That's high praise.
No, it's high praise. Yes, I know.
It's high praise because
me.
Yeah, because for those of you who've been listening, you know how sometimes you just have like this irrational dislike of somebody for no good reason, and everybody tells you that you're wrong to have the irrational dislike, but you still have that irrational dislike, and you don't know why. And one of Sean's irrational dislike objects is Stanley Tucci, the universally loved Stanley Tucci. Sean just doesn't like him. Sean's like, no, he's a fraud.
No. I'll tell you what it was. It wasn't something I saw. It's just come back to me now. It was on the radio.
Oh, yeah?
And it was on Radio 4, and he had all those, and it was all about, like, the Great Depression and different scenarios, but it was written as a screenplay for a Hollywood movie.
Okay.
Absolutely brilliant it was. I loved it. So he went through, like, things in that, but it was like he was like reading a screenplay, and apparently it's a book he's written. I don't know if it's a book written, but yeah, and he sounded on the radio. He came across. I thought, wow, he's excellent. So yeah, that's it. I knew it was something I wanted to say to you ages ago. So yeah,
you're like, I finally get it. I finally get why Stanley Tucci's so loved.
So, I think he was in the what's the one with the. What do you call it? Catching Fire and all those, you know.
The Hunger Games, yeah.
The Hunger Games.
He was Caesar Flickerman.
Yeah, Caesar Flickerman. Yeah, I didn't rate him in that.
All right, so with me, the things that we have, or the things that the irrational things that you don't like. So Sean is beginning to see the point of Stanley Tucci. So maybe Sharon might begin to see the point of animated movies, and maybe. Yeah, maybe I after all these years will finally understand why everybody loves Mad Max Fury Road so much. But yeah, because I actually did something this week where it was like a Facebook list, and you had to list 10 things that everybody else loves but you don't. And that everybody else loves but you don't. And I had like at the top cheese and coffee. And then going down, I eventually had Mad Max Fury Road. And you might know Peter Jenkins or The Island. He was like, my number 8. He was like, number 8, what? I was like, yeah, I know. The whole world seems to love Mad Max Fury Road, and I don't get it.
Wow. Sharon. Right, there's one of these. I did do one of the posts, so I commented on a post. It seems that the people that they rate the searchers as a really, really hot. Nearly everybody seems to search as the searchers. They're going about the searchers. John Wayne film was the best Western.
John Ford.
That is one of my very, very overrated films. And I think that's overrated too much.
I don't love it either. I have to say, I love Westerns.
Oh, Sharon.
No, I don't love it.
Oh,
again, I think it's Ethan, isn't it? What's his name? Ethan
Hawke. Ethan Hawke, not Ethan Hawke. Ethan Hunt, is it? No, I don't know. Oh no, that's
Ethan Hawke, Ethan Hunt, Ethan Cohen.
Yeah.
Yes, it's. I think I'd never loved it with the whole.
Well, that when she gets abducted.
Yeah, that's the one with the Indians. I mean, I think it's a little bit boring, but I'd probably be pilloried for that, because loads of people love it. They think it's like one of the greatest westerns. Yeah,
it's welcome to Netflix versus Cinema, a hype-free zone. You hype something, we will tear it down. It's like, okay, yeah. All right. So, what else? So, Sean, we've heard a lot about what you've been doing. Sharon, how about you? Have you actually started watching anything?
Yeah.
We started watching a series on Netflix called The English Game, which we're going to finish off tonight. I've been watching that with my mum. We've been splitting up in like 1 or 2 episodes a time, because with box sets it's so easy, isn't it, to sort of binge watch them. So we've been spacing it out over a week. So I've been watching that for the last week, and I started to watch The Last Kingdom, the latest series of that, because I'd read all the books.
Yep.
Yeah, so, but I saw a couple of films. Of an evening, I sat down and thought, I can't watch a film, because, that's what I do.
Yeah.
And I spent longer actually looking for something to watch than I did actually watch. I felt like I went through all the menus of all the things. I was like scrolling endlessly, and I thought, I'll watch that. And I watched a film that was absolutely, I wouldn't say dire, but I would say they could have done better. And that was a film called Time Trap. It was a new release on Netflix. But these students that go into a cave and time runs differently in there, and they end up fighting with like Neanderthal man, and then Wild West turn up. And then
like the time tunnel. A bit like the time tunnel from the 1960s Irwin Allen thing.
Yeah, just like that, but just really badly done. And the characters I thought were the most interesting, sort of. It was a bit, just one word, I don't like to use this word, but lame, that comes to mind.
Well, okay, I'll tell you, right. I have admitted that I am a bit of a snob when it comes to some things. I'm a bit of a film snob, and when it comes to titles, I feel like titles tell you a lot. And when you have a film called Time Trap, that title sounds like a straight to the Sci-Fi Channel kind of film. I don't.
Yes, it will appear in about 5 years on Sci-Fi, and you'll go, "Well, have I seen that?" And I will 5 minutes in, you go, "Yeah, I've seen it."
And I think also nowadays, because there's so much choice, like when you go into Netflix or anything like that, I've become like mega judgy on something. I'm like, what's that look like? No, that looks cheap. Oh, that looks like going to waste my time. And I think honestly, the title Time Trap would have been like a red flag. I would just have been like, nope, not for me.
It should have been a giveaway. Years ago, there used to be a film company that made direct-to-video films called Medusa.
Oh, yeah?
I don't know if you've ever heard of Medusa films, but as soon as I had a video that we rented from the shop, as soon as we saw that it was by Medusa, we'd go, yeah, it's going to be cheap. And I think this is the equivalent of a Medusa film.
The thing is, like, cheap can be fun, but I think so. More often than not, there's a bit when you have cheap and earnest, it just doesn't work. It just doesn't go together.
That's it, really.
Yeah.
You have to watch some Swede movies. Have you ever seen that one?
Swede?
Is it Be Kind Rewind? Be Kind Rewind?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so
No?
I think Be Kind Rewind.
Jack Black.
That's Spike Jonze, yeah.
Yeah. You've seen that.
I haven't actually seen Be Kind Rewind. I've seen Human Nature. I've seen obviously Being John Malkovich. I've seen what's the name of that one? The Charlie Kaufman one, adaptation. But I haven't seen Being Kind Rewind. All right, okay. So one of the things that we have been doing that we decided that we're going to do is that we want to find out about you random people who listen to this. I'll say random people. It makes it as if I don't actually care about them. You lovely people who listen to this. Want to find out like what you've been doing in the lockdown, what's been going on with you. And as we said, we've had these questions that we have been asking people, which is in the celebration of cinema. So we talk a little bit about Netflix, talk about what we've been watching. We talk a little about in our cinema section, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the first film that you saw at the cinema, the last film you saw before the lockdown happened, why it is that you love going to the cinema. And I have 2 great interviews that I've conducted already with people who've given some really good answers. And what are you most looking forward to seeing when cinemas reopen? Now, I first interviewed our London correspondent, Holly, about this. And I think her first thing at the cinema, which Sharon, you haven't listened to it, but it'll be playing on the podcast now when people listen, is her first thing was actually pretty cool. She said she went to see a drive-in movie in Zimbabwe.
Wow.
Oh wow! In
Yeah.
Zimbabwe.
In Zimbabwe.
Oh, wow.
That was
Drive-in movie.
her first
cool.
first experience of the cinema was a drive-in movie in Zimbabwe. I can't remember what film it was that she said she saw, but she remembers going to see it with her parents, and it's and sparked her lifelong love of cinema. So for those of you who happen to be listening to the final edited version of this, you will hear Holly now. Hello to London correspondent Holly.
Hi.
Hello.
Nice to speak to you, Tosin.
Nice to speak to you again. Okay, now, we have just finished having a big, raging discussion about all these things in the world and putting the world to rights and people going outdoors and all that. But we're going to run away from that, and we're going to talk about films. Now, you said, I'm not sure whether you listened to the last show that we did, because we've had like a 2-week break where we haven't done anything because we've just been sat down there going, hang on, the show's called Netflix versus Cinema. What happens when there's no cinema? and we've been trying to figure out what we actually do going forward, because we can't just sit down and talk about Netflix. So and I saw on your Facebook page that you had something that said something along the lines of sit down and cry because there's no cinema to go to.
I was thinking about that as an option personally, yeah.
Well, sit down and cry because there's no cinema to go to.
Yeah. It is on my list of things that you're looking forward to when this is all over.
Yeah.
In my top 4 is going to the cinema.
Yeah, and okay, and so, all right, sure, obviously this COVID thing has affected people in all areas of life and in all walks, and every single thing, it's affected them in some way. But for us, I mean, it's one of those things where I didn't really think about what it was going to take from us, and then when it took the cinema away, you're like, oh my god, this thing's kind of serious. It's taking the cinema away.
Well, yes, exactly. That's not what we expect. Psychologically, you can cope with the idea of being locked down somehow.
Yeah.
But there are things that your brain doesn't quite encompass, and losing things like the cinema, like theatre, just somehow feels that little bit too. I don't even know what the word is.
Wrong.
I was going to say esoteric, which isn't quite right, but
it feels wrong.
Yes, it can't possibly happen because things that can't change. But yes, we can have to stay at home. Yes, we can absolutely not go for walks. I completely get having to queue 2 meters apart to go to the supermarket. But
Yeah.
surely they can put like 2 meter spacing in the cinema, can't they? And then of course I realised that that's not actually how it works. And
Yeah,
sit
it's
quietly and look sad.
Yeah. I remember sat down a couple of shows ago and just sat down with telling Sharon and Sharon. I was like, yeah, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. So what we've decided to do is essentially talk about pretty much celebrate cinema and all that kind of stuff. So for you, I'm going to ask you 3 questions. Number 1, why do you think the cinema going experience is a thing? So,
in part because it's one of those few moments when you can truly isolate yourself in something.
Good word, isolate.
It's akin to a theatre as well, and I think they are in many ways interchangeable. If you think now about the number of theatre shows that performances that you can now see in the cinema, you can see how they can, they're not the same, but there are ways and means of doing things. And if we look at now, the fact that there are brilliant plays being shown from National Theatre live on TV, you can cross over media, but the cinema and the theatre, what they both have in common is that feeling of focus. You, assuming you're not an awful human being, you are, what's in the worst film ever, you are or play ever, you're focusing on what's in front of you. You don't have external stimuli with any luck.
Yep.
So you're able to put all of your attentions. I'm not very good at watching things with subtitles at home because I'm incapable of not multitasking to high heaven.
Yep.
5 things at once is perfectly normal. So focusing fully on the screen and appreciating everything I'm seeing is not as effective. Which is why I've had to see The Witcher 3 times to try to figure out what on earth is going on. And I'll just pause and say that clearly this is going to impact the release of Series 2 of The Witcher. I'm not happy about that. But,
So you watched The Witcher 3 times and you decided, you know what? Yes.
Yes, well, to be fair, I decided yes after I got to the end of the first watch and thought, I do like this, but I'm still, I've not paid that much attention.
Yeah.
About 30% attention. So I better actually watch it and pay attention because it seems quite good. So I went back and watched it again and thought, no, I definitely like this, but I am more than a little confused, and I feel some of it requires actually a little bit more attention than I've given it. So I watched it for a third time, part of which was also because I liked the music.
Toss a coin to your witcher, oh valley of plenty.
Plenty, oh valley of plenty. Yes, exactly. It has to be done. I could just put that on loop in the background. But so yes, there's a trauma. COVID trauma, Mark.
Yeah.
It's clearly far worse than anything else. But the experience then backtracking to the cinema is that you are in a space that is dark, that is theoretically quiet, and where in front of you is something that is arguably, assuming it's not bad, even sometimes if it is bad, is all-consuming.
Yeah.
And your focus is set upon what's in front of you.
Yeah.
You're in a microcosm and have the chance to absorb something, to really appreciate and be in a different. It's different, but equivalent to reading a really good book where you just become so lost in yourself, and in what you're reading that nothing else, it comes in. It's the disadvantage of this being a podcast rather than being video is you can't see the hand movements that involve a lot of me waving my hands in the air to try to express what's in my mind.
Yes.
But yeah, it is that feeling of total focus, of experiencing something that is not your own world. That in many cases is very special. I mean, I look back at some of the things I've seen over the last year, and they vary from being brilliant to bizarre.
Cats.
To, downright, the only film I've ever given 0 stars to. Good Lord, what on earth was happening? Even Andrew Lloyd Webber, when he's doing his random, show tuned things at the moment, said, "Don't worry, it's not Cats." What does that tell you? It tells you everything, really, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So if we'll endeavour to set Cats aside. Emotional scarring. Thanks for bringing that back. I've now got Jellicle Cats in my head again. Cheers. So yes, cinema has the power to take you into somewhere, totally immerse you in a world that is not your own, be it a realistic one or something fantastical.
Yeah.
It takes you out of your own existence and allows you to experience something else.
All right, cool. Thank you very much for that. Now, the second question, and what some of the things you said, we'll come back to some of the other questions that were coming. So So Sean, Sharon, and I, and another guy called Joe, used to be on a podcast. We've done 3 podcasts together. The first one was one called "They Don't Make Them Like They Used to," which was on Hospital Radio, and we spoke about old films made pre-1980. And one of the things that we did was we would go into the hospital and we would ask people, can you tell us the story of the first film you ever saw in the cinema? And as part of this whole thing of us trying to see, okay, we can go to cinema, but we want to celebrate what cinema is all about. We're asking people who listen to the show, those questions. So, 2 questions really. What was the first film you saw in the cinema ever? Tell us the story of the first time you ever went to the cinema. And the second question is, what is the last film you managed to catch before the lockdown happened?
Okay, so the first film I saw will have been one of 2, and I cannot tell you which it was.
All right.
It was either way. It was in Zimbabwe when I lived there, which we moved there when I was 8. So it was either Batman or it was Dances with Wolves. Ooh. Now, my experience of Batman, I have to say, is almost, I have no recollection. Whereas Dances with Wolves, I have some very, very clear recollections of. And we saw it in a drive-in. And I went with my parents and my dog, which is as bizarre as it sounds.
Oh, yeah.
And it was a good film experience, but obviously I was under 10. So it was, I was below the appropriate age limit for it. I don't know what rating it was. I'm going to go either a PG or a 15 or something.
I think it might be. I think it was more than a PG.
Yeah, it would be the only 15 film my parents would ever have let me watch, bizarrely. But Mum got me to cover my people were killed. I did not always succeed in doing this.
What was that? What was that you just said?
Entirely unmoved. Yes.
The last thing I heard was you say, "Mum got you."
When there was. Yeah, Mum got me to cover my eyes for any sort of particularly brutal upfront people being killed.
Oh, okay, cool.
So I did not always succeed at that. Was, frankly unmoved by people being killed.
Yeah.
When the wolf gets shot, I was in tears.
All right.
I will carry that with me for the rest of my life. I'm not worried too much. I won't say I might have spoiled it for somebody. I'm not really worried at this point if I spoiled Dances with Wolves for anyone.
Yep. I haven't watched it and I'm not worried.
It's one of Kevin Costner's better films, but one can safely say the list is fairly short. But I carry it with me to this day, and that's the best part of 30 years on. Yeah,
that you carry that experience with you of go.
Yeah, and I remember sitting in the car and I remember having to hug my dog, as I was so distressed by this. Yeah. And I still get the same way if animals get hurt, or I read things about lost cats, I automatically have to check on my cats, even though it's completely illogical. It's an instinctive response. I feel very strongly about. So that was my first ever easily, effectively recalled cinema experience.
All right.
The other ones I would have been to, I'd not been to the cinema before we moved to Zimbabwe, which I said we did when I was 8. And I only remember, I must have seen more things, but those that I remember going to see Batman, I remember very clearly going to see Dances with Wolves, and then the next one that I clearly remember is Jurassic Park. And I am in fact wearing a Jurassic Park t-shirt as we speak, because that's just sometimes how I roll.
That's a break of like 5 years.
Yes.
All right.
And there will have been other cinema trips in between, but I have no recollection of them.
Ah, well, interesting. Good stuff.
Exactly. I don't know what that means. So before the world went mad, before the pre-apocalypse arrived upon us, I had a double bill. And went to see, first of all, The Invisible Man, followed by Dark Waters.
Oh, all right.
So, really
at this time, okay, might just ask a question, because Sean of this parish, when he heard that the lockdown was about to happen and he knew that cinemas were going to close, he specifically went to the cinema and had a day or like a whole evening of just back to back to back, where he saw Onward, followed by, they were doing a preview screening of the first episode of The Mandalorian. He saw that, and then he finished it off with, what was the final thing he saw? I cannot remember what the final thing he saw was, but he actually, so was this double bill kind of like you going, they're going to close cinemas down, before it happens I'm going to go in and watch this thing, or was it just...
No, it was just that we really wanted to, it's just that our timings worked well.
Yeah.
So we'd done over.
So this is you and Steph, your cinema buddy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It was fitting in around my diary, around her work rota, and we were looking at what we could combine successfully with our timings, with whatever she was doing beforehand. I think she had an afternoon tea, and how we could effectively meet up at the right time. And sadly, it meant she had to be 5 minutes late for The Invisible Man, which was pretty distressing, as you can imagine. And I can't remember whether or not that meant I think she wasn't 5 minutes late. I think she was more like 2 minutes late. So I don't think she actually missed anything, or sat down just as it actually started. And we both hugely enjoyed it.
Oh, The Invisible Man.
Yeah, it's a jumpy film.
Yep.
It's very jumpy.
Yep.
I am inclined to jump at the best of times. So, me being startled by something is mostly an indication of some sort of character failing on my part or whatever, rather than necessarily a film being the most frightening thing imaginable.
It might just mean that it might just talk about your affinity with cats. They're big jumpy. That
is true. I mean, you should have seen one of mine today who's been leaping around for no conceivable reason and trying to join in my Pilates class. We are having a mixed relationship at present. Yes, really, really enjoyed it. I thought it was very well filmed, well constructed. I liked it as a take on the sort of the original concepts and the concepts that arise again and again of the sort of the invisible person.
Yeah.
And what it means in sort of psychological and everything else terms.
Yeah.
I did towards the end guess the ultimate ending.
Yep.
But I don't think that's necessarily I didn't feel that ruined it for me. It actually was satisfying.
Mm-hmm.
To feel a completeness to my expectations.
Yeah, I think you and Sean are the only people who I've spoken to who have seen it, and all of us have said, yeah, we guessed what was going to happen.
I mean, there was only one logical way for the end to be as it was.
Yeah, because that is with that this is about your experience of it or anything. I felt like it started off quite well, and I felt like it could have done something quite clever with the whole idea, because obviously taking the whole idea of the Invisible Man and applying it to abusive relationships, which obviously nowadays, and a lot more films that were being released were actually addressing this whole idea of abusive relationships, about this power imbalance between men and women. And I felt like it could have done something really clever with that. But I feel like as the film went on towards the end, it kind of devolved into jumpy revenge thriller.
Yes, I think that's a fair call.
Yeah, and I thought it was a bit of a shame. I was like, it would have been good if they could have had something really, really great here. This could have been like, the Fight Club of abusive relationship films or anything like that. But it just kind of devolves into a standard thriller towards the end.
I still gave it a solid 4 stars. I mean, I thought it was very good, but you're right, it could have done a little more. And as a sort of segue into what we're doing whilst we're locked down and abusive relationships, I have a book lined up to read called My Dark Vanessa, which has just been released, which is about a woman having to reconsider the relationship she had with her teacher when she was 15. And promises to be a very interesting insight into abusive relationships.
Oh, yeah.
So there you go. So for those who are looking for something to do whilst we ride this out, it's got ravingly good reviews from people most of us would respect as authors. So add it to the reading list. I'll let you know how it goes.
So
gold star.
Okay, all right. So now obviously the worldwide film thing has been put on hold at the moment. What are you most looking forward to when they say, because I figure it's going to be staggered, when they say, right, you are allowed to go out of the house, then maybe a month after that cinemas are open again. What are you most looking forward to just jumping in and doing?
Well, so when I'm allowed out of the house, it will be cinema. It will be going for drinks and dinner and coffee with friends. It'll be seeing my parents, and it will be being able to go on the swings in the park just round the corner from my flat, which I haven't done in a while, but I do once in a while. I will at sort of 10 o'clock at night, 9 o'clock at night, I will go and sit on the swings, because sometimes that's just what you need to do, and I miss the swings.
Oh, okay, cool. Before you said 10 o'clock at night, I was thinking, A, you might have to join the queue, and B, you might have to push some 7-year-olds out of the way. But
to be fair, I've done it during the day, and I have no issue with pushing 7-year-olds out of the way if needs must. And then one has to be pragmatic.
Yeah, just as you were saying, makes us think about how we treat each other. But
Yeah, exactly. 7-year-olds, fair game.
all right, cool. So, okay, you have fun. You let me know what your experience of paying £15 to watch The Invisible Man again is like on whatever platform you choose to find it on. I'm going to dive into Disney Plus.
Well, I'm probably going to plough through the ones that I wanted to see and haven't seen, and possibly hold off a little bit for The Invisible Man and Dark Waters again, on the basis that hopefully they'll become regular buy to rent at some point when they realise people will hit the point of going expletive off.
Well, I am thinking that. I am thinking that people. It's. I understand that they've got to try. I understand that these are studios and they've got to try and see if they can recoup some costs, because they were, in their heads, I can imagine thinking that they were cheated out of at least another week of okay. So, but I do think that £15 is too expensive. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and also, welcome to the rest of our worlds. You know, they can suck it up just like the rest of us are having to. It's not like anybody else is having a barrel of laughs right now. I thought, gosh, wouldn't it be lovely if I could just, eke an extra dollar out of somebody I don't know, because, the world has turned. Therefore, there you go. That's my moral stance on.
Well, speaking as a small business owner, that's pretty much exactly what I'm trying to do.
And rightly so, because you're a small business owner, and I hope you have been through all of the appropriate processes and you have been given sensible advice by people to ensure that you're maximising the amount of money that you can access.
Well, they will let me know if I can access any money whatsoever by the 1st of June. So,
and I have some, by the by, I have some potentially useful contacts for you. So,
All right, cool, good stuff.
It's what friends are for, my dear.
All right, thank you very much. Well, anyway, Holly, London correspondent, stay safe because we hear it's crazy in London.
It's kind of weird.
Yeah, it's good.
Mostly the sunbathing, which frankly I think is exposing people to unnecessary levels of UV.
Wait, sunbathing? What, in like people?
Yeah, literally. There's a park around the corner from me. Why the hell not sunbathe? We can spread a virus and we can get skin cancer at the same time. It's nice to see people multitasking.
Good for them. But anyway,
absolutely, big thumbs up for them endangering themselves, endangering the NHS.
Till the next time, and thank you for being on the show. Netflix versus cinema, even though there isn't really a versus anymore, as we say, Netflix has won 2020, but we can still celebrate cinema. And
absolutely.
And if Steph ever comes out of a hospital and wants to talk about stuff, send her our way. So that was Holly. Sean, sorry, Sean.
Well, drive-ins may be the drive-ins may be the cinema of the future, because you can socially distance. You can have a cinematic experience.
Sharon, what a wonderful idea!
The big screen.
Sharon.
Bring back the drive-in.
Oh, Sharon! Oh my goodness! Talk about a silver lining.
That's a terrific idea.
That is a great call.
Why hasn't nobody thought of that? Why none of the big like Cineworld and all them thought of saying, "I'll tell you what, let's find a place and let's
get a field, have a drive-in, Odeon drive-ins." That socially did. Oh my! This is awesome. Sharon, I'm sorry, but you've blown my mind. You have absolutely blown my
that's brilliant.
That's like
I was thinking this in the week, actually. This was just what I thought. Why don't we just have a drive-in? But that's how my mind works.
Oh, good Lord. That is like a Back to the Future move right there. It's like...
Do you think... But the thing is, I think probably with that, it's probably be quite expensive.
You've got Wi-Fi. Well, you've got Wi-Fi now, so you could have the sound Wi-Fi'd in at some point.
That's true.
What do you mean expensive to build or expensive?
I don't know how many people and what they charge, because there might not be too many people that would turn up. Do you know what I mean?
Well, the thing is,
you probably have to wait till night.
Well, the thing is, like,
it's a great idea. It's a great idea.
But you know how every now and then they have like a movie in the park or something like that.
Yeah.
And those things are always really, really well attended. Like they go and they say, we're going to have a movie in the park. NatWest presents, I don't know, Grease or something like that. They're always well attended because of the novelty of it. And I think to be honest with you, the fact that you can set up a movie in a park means that the price point of building one of these should go low. All you have to do is find a field that, like, a farmer will let you go into, set up a screen, and you can take it down. You can have it there. People keep driving in, people keep coming in, and people watching the film. Oh man, we need to get some money and set this thing up, because this is a post-lockdown genius idea.
Yeah.
You set up a film. I think about all the fields you have on the Isle of Wight. No big deal. I mean, they're not going to be doing the Isle of Wight festival. Go set up a drive-in movie theater there.
Yeah, let's go to Fairly.
You have it all set
Actually,
up.
you could have a film. You could have a drive-in. You could have a drive-in film festival.
Yes,
drive-in, showing all different movies.
Drive-in, like you would have like
the Isle of Wight Film Festival. Drive-in.
You could have like all
You'd
the
have
best.
like about 4 fields with different films going on.
Yeah, you have like all the best drive-in movies. So you could have. Okay, I know, like Sean, you like Two Lane Blacktop, which I haven't seen. Is that the one that has Warren Oates in it? I know there's a drive.
Yes, Warren Oates is in that. Yes.
Yeah, and there's something Overdrive.
Pardon?
There's some film that has a name like something Overdrive. That's a drive-in movie.
Maximum Overdrive.
Yeah.
That's based on the Stephen King
Maximum.
novella.
There's a film called Maximum Overdrive.
You could have Christie.
And there's Jewel.
Yes. Steven Spielberg. Jewel. You could. I would.
Jewel. Yes. You could have Vanishing Point. You could have Dirty Mary. You could have all those go back to the. That's an idea.
I would put Once Upon a Time in Hollywood in there as well, because I spent a lot of that film in the car.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would work.
Oh, God.
That's a good idea. Someone's going to pinch this from us and
set it up, aren't they? Somebody with money.
Film festivals.
Somebody with money and the actual wherewithal. Because I mean, we're talking about it now, but it's one thing to talk about. It's nothing to actually get up and make it happen. So,
it's true.
So I think that there's going to be someone who's going to be like, "Ooh, yeah." But if that happens, we can probably. Do you reckon we can sue? No, we can't. We can't sue somebody for the idea of a drive-in cinema. Although if they did it on the Isle of Wight at the Isle of Wight Film Festival venue.
Intellectual copyright.
Yeah, it's intellectual property. It's ours. We came up with it.
Remembering my old crime definitions, you can steal something that's non-corporeal.
Ooh.
So you can,
Ooh.
You can own something that's non-corporeal.
So, great shout, Sharon. That is
It's our idea then, right, Sharon? Post.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking.
You're a lawyer. You can be our lawyer.
Socially distant cinema. We already have it.
I can be the promoter. Tosin can do all the techie stuff, and Sharon can be the legal side of things. I handle the legal. Yeah.
Honestly, sorry. Cool. Seriously, that is blowing my mind. That is absolutely blowing my mind. I've been wondering how can cinema exist after this, and you have just provided the answer, Sharon. I'm sorry, you have. Drive-in movies. It's so obvious. It's so obvious. All right. Oh, okay, cool. Man, you've thrown me now. I don't even know where we're going with this thing anymore. But
well, we had Holly's. The first film she saw at the cinema, so we've just heard her interview.
Yes, well, those who are listening to this would have heard it. Should we pretend like you've heard it as well? Yes.
It's a good. Yeah, I mean, it was good. I mean, it was nice of her to do the interview, wasn't it? It was a good, good interview.
Yeah, Holly's always good fun. Holly's always good fun.
Yeah, Holly's always been.
How is Holly coping with the lockdown situation? Because is she in a flat? I mean, we've been saying, hey, we've got a garden, we can go in the garden. It's no worries, but I don't know. Does she live in a flat or something? So is that much harder?
She does live in the flat. She does live in a flat. She was talking, if I remember correctly, I recorded this about 2 weeks ago. She was talking about going out of the house and seeing other people every now and then, and going to a nearby playground and getting on the swings. And now that that's on lockdown, there's nobody to stop her getting on the swings anytime she wants. So and she does have a cat. She does have a cat to keep her company.
That's okay.
Whose names I can't remember. I think it's Max.
I can imagine they've got. I'd love to know the names of those cats. I wonder the names of cats. Always funny. I should imagine that'd be quite an interesting names. Names like. I can picture a black cat with a Diamante collar called Sophie. I don't know why.
No, I think she has a boy cat and a girl cat called Max and Callie, I believe. Brother and sister. They're sort of white with the mostly white with patches of black and brown.
totally different to what I thought. Then it's like when you hear someone talking and
Yes.
they turn it, or you get a mental picture of someone you've never ever seen before.
Yeah.
You get this mental picture, and when you actually meet them face to face, nothing like. You think,
They're
oh, what
nothing like.
you know, you got them like they must be quite tall and blonde and what have you and all that.
Yeah.
And it turns out,
Holly,
you know,
Holly
yeah.
is both of those things.
Oh right, okay.
Well, she's definitely tall. I'm pretty sure she's taller than. Well, I say tall. I think she's taller than me, but that's not saying much. But she's definitely been blonde at some time of her life. I'm not sure if that's a natural, but her natural color is definitely towards blonde. So far so good. But here that you might just have given Holly an idea. Holly, Sean says, go get yourself a black cat with a diamante collar and name the cat Sophie, regardless of whatever gender the cat actually is. All right, cool. So that was it, and I think we're talking. We said we're going to say a little bit about the last film that we saw before before the lockdown happened. So shall we? Because we've spoken at length about those a little bit before. So shall we round those up? What were the last films that we saw at cinema before the lockdown happened?
Yep. Okay. Who wants to
Sharon,
go first?
Sharon, you go first because I think you had a good experience.
Yeah, I went to see Military Wives. That was the last film I saw at the cinema. Well, actually, the last two films I saw at the cinema I enjoyed. I went to see
Emma
before that. So the last two were good experiences. There was Emma and Military Wives.
And aren't you glad you did? Because if not, you'd have to have
I am.
forked out £15 to watch this on iTunes or Amazon Prime or something with a cinema at home. I'm like, I'm not paying for it. Anyway, we've gone over that ground.
Yeah, we've been there. Yeah, so no, I enjoyed both of those films for entertainment value. There's a lot of pathos in Military Wives. It was surprisingly sort of moving. I thought it was just going to be about singing. It's going to be, the choir on the television. They come together, they sing, they go to the Albert Hall. Hey, all fun and games. But it was actually quite a lot. There was real emotional depth to it about loss and about a community and about how you can support one another through quite simple actions. So it was very timely in many ways.
Yeah, it is.
So we're not actually going to get together, but people have been singing, haven't they, through meetings like this, through Zoom and other mediums.
Yeah, you had.
So I think it's a timely film. It was a good one to watch before this kicked off.
You had Captain Tom and the NHS Choir getting to number one in the
Oh
chart.
yeah, Captain Tom. Happy birthday, Captain Tom.
Yeah, Captain Tom. Yes, and I have to say with quite a bit of heavy lifting from Michael Ball, but.
Oh yeah. I tell you, did you see that thing with when like Paul McCartney and the Rolling Stones and Elton John, and did you see that bit that was on when they all sort of got together and did that stuff?
Did that at home concert? No.
That was a few weeks back.
I heard about it. I didn't bother finding it.
No, I wouldn't bother. It was awful. One of them could sing.
I've seen some of these together.
Just shows you what electronics you can do.
Yeah.
So sure, Sharon, you were saying?
No, I have seen some of these recordings where, like, Gary Barlow has been doing these crooner sessions. I think a couple of those have been really good, where he's in his studio and he calls up someone and they basically sing together on their phones and they post a video. So I've seen a couple of those. They're good. Yeah, but no, like the Big Night In. I saw a couple of the bits of the Big Night In and this sort of big Lady Gaga's concert. I saw a couple of them, but I thought I'm not going to sit for 5 hours watching that malarkey.
8.
It's not exactly Live Aid, is it?
The thing is, there were some of them that the only one I've seen is the Radio 1. Radio 1 did they did a version of the Foo Fighters Times Like These, which actually is actually quite good. And because it's slowed down and you hear the words, you think this is stupidly relevant for where we are right now. Yeah, and that one I've seen. But to be honest, I've avoided a lot of it. The Big Night In, I avoided. I
watched a couple of them afterwards because I thought, oh, that looks quite funny. But they're not. Again, one of the things I saw, I wasn't a fan of Little Britain, but I did see the Little Britain thing.
Yeah.
And one of the David Walliams said on that, oh, they're never as funny when they're at home. and it's exactly right. They never are.
Well, there was this thing I saw on the BBC website that was talking about which shows are working well without an audience, and there's some of them I've more or less avoided
Question Time and stuff.
normal TV. Well, Question Time I think works quite well because there's no so much rah-rah-rahing. The Graham Norton show, I think it's a bit like chat shows are a bit weird. Chat shows are a bit weird without an audience, but it's I don't know. But hang on, what was that point? What were we talking about? We're talking about Sean. You were saying, I think we're going to talk about the final film that you saw.
Big Night In.
Oh yeah, Big Night In.
Whatever. How awful the songs were. They were terrible without. It just shows you what technology can do with people to sing. Because I thought they all sounded awful. I didn't actually see the Big Night In. I think they had a little bit of on one of the news programs. So, but anyway, it was rubbish. Sorry, Rolling Stones, you sounded bloody awful.
I think I'm getting really, really cynical as I get older because they've been doing a lot of stuff for charity now and everything like that, and everybody's talking about NHS Together, and this is another one of those things where everybody seems to love it, and you're the sort of Scrooge in the corner going, "I'm gonna suck it, what the hell, humbug."
The whole clapping on the doorstep. Yeah, we've been clapping on the doorstep, but we've noticed it's not as it's not spontaneous anymore, is it? So you feel that
I honestly felt that should have been a one-time and done thing. Essentially,
one and done.
Clapping on the doorstep is becoming like The Walking Dead. It's going on way too long, and people are just keeping it going for no good reason, and it's beginning to mean less.
It becomes less meaningful as it goes on, because we found this in our road. The first week it was like, we're out there clapping, and the next week it was still enthusiastic, but then by week 3 we were like, it's a minute up yet.
Personally, I feel having people in my family who work within the NHS, I'm like, keep your clapping and just treat them better when you go to the hospital. Actually listen to them. I'm like, it's like, what's the point of clapping and saying, we really, really appreciate the NHS, and then you're going to go to a hospital, going to an A&E department and jab your finger in a doctor's chest and start yelling about how I pay your wages, therefore do what I want. And and so as I said, I'm getting.
My brother's an ambulance driver as well, so we see that from his side of things.
It's just I mean, if you really want to appreciate the NHS, don't go out at night, get drunk, and then have some paramedic come and pick you up, and you try and fight them while they're trying to actually help you. Don't do that if you actually really want to appreciate the NHS. Yeah. But anyway, Sean, what was the final film you saw in the cinema?
Final film. Yeah, I was just going to say it's really interesting. We spoke about The Invisible Man. It's fascinating watching you, Tosin, because you phase in and out. So, like where you are now, you're there, and then when you move, which I assume is to my right or your left, all your technical stuff comes in. Go the other way. Whoa, he disappeared. Look, he's gone. There he is. So that's pretty cool.
Yes. Film I'm just trying to show you, Sean, like that this phasing thing could happen. It could happen, and it could be totally convenient. Whenever I want it to happen, there it is. I'm going.
Yeah, there you go. He's gone. Just the toes left. Oh my goodness me! There's a little bit coming. I can see you. You're phasing in. You're phasing out. You're phasing in. You're phasing out.
It's like a peekaboo thing. This is like a peekaboo Zoom game. I love it. Yeah.
Last film I saw was the Vin Diesel. Was it called Bloodworks or something?
Oh, Bloodshot.
That's it. Bloodshot. That was the last film, and that was the Tuesday night before it all went nuts.
Yeah.
And like lockdown and that. So it was very. And I took I'm not sure if I know you've met Jennifer, Sharon, but I don't think
I
you
haven't met her.
Anyway.
That's the Chinese teaching assistant.
And we've got some, we went to see, what's it called? Bloodshot.
Bloodshot, yeah.
And we were the only ones in the cinema. And I think I've got some pictures of us in the cinema because she wanted to take a couple of photographs and stuff. So perhaps I'll put them up. But that was a Tuesday night. It was the last performance. We were the only two in there. There was hardly anybody in the cinema at all, so that must have been starting to.
Because you had a bit of a marathon, didn't you? Didn't you do a bit of a marathon a couple of days before when you saw this was coming? You thought, right, let's go and get as many in as I can.
Get as many in as we possibly could. So, it was all right. It was all right film. It was better than I thought it was going to be. I mean, our mate John. He didn't like. He said, "Oh, I'm going to watch that."
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about somebody in the film. No, this is Happy John.
Happy John.
Another one of the characters that shows up on this podcast every now and then.
Because I asked him. I said, "Did you want to come?" And he's like, "No, because it won't be no good. Everything these all the says it's not very good. All the press I've seen about it's not very good." So he didn't come to see it.
Well, I'm not going to.
I didn't mind it. I thought it was. Yeah, well, you've seen it. Have you seen Bloodshot?
I know I haven't seen it because now the only way I can see it is
okay.
by pay 15 quid, and I'm definitely not paying that to see a Vin Diesel film. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So, but we really, dear old John, I don't know if we bully him. Would you say we bully him, Sharon? Would you say I bully him or not?
I think the jury's out on that.
I think you tread the fine line between good-natured joshing and bullying.
Yeah, because the film that we go on. I don't expect he really likes it that much, but he watched that. What's the latest Fast and Furious ones? Is it Tocket and Crubs or something like that? What's his name?
Oh, Hobbs and Shaw.
Hobbs and Shaw.
Yeah, it's called Hobbs and Shaw. But all the time, every time I say about it, I say, "Oh, your favourite films that like Trocket and Crubs or Bubble and Shaw or something like that," and he goes, "No, I didn't say it's that good." So yeah, but I don't think that classes as bullying. I think that just classes as, you know.
I think it depends on what side of the
we should
you're on.
Okay, tune in next week when we get Happy John on, and we ask him whether he feels bullied by Sean. It's like show us whether.
Why don't we?
Show us whether the mean man taunted you.
I'm a nice guy. I'm not the I hate bullying. That's why I sometimes feel bad about it.
I know.
I just think it's really funny.
Yeah. Okay, so with that,
but he does take it in good part. To be fair.
Yeah. So my final film that I saw in the cinema, and I said we were going to be. So I've done 2 of these interviews. I've interviewed London correspondent Holly and also one of my friends Yatish, who I've got quite a funny interview with him because I put up on Facebook last week saying what was the first film that you saw at the cinema, and he said he'd go back and he went, it wasn't by choice, but it was the Care Bears movie. And so I interviewed him about that, and he made a point. He said that the thing he loves about the cinema is not really watching the film; it's the bit afterwards when you get to talk about it. So essentially, things like this podcast. And he was talking, and it made me think, that's actually one of the good things about cinema, because it doesn't matter whether you see a bad film or not. If you see a bad film with, and I think we've all had situations where we've gone to see a bad film with maybe the only ones in the cinema. And it's one of the funnest experiences you have because you just yell at the screen, you throw popcorn, you come out afterwards and you've been through something with somebody and you're like, "God, that was terrible, wasn't it? Yeah, that was really, really bad." So I feel like 2 hours in the cinema is never wasted as long as there's other people who watch it and you can just sort of like go on about it and you can complain and you can whinge and you can moan about it. And whinging and moaning about a bad film sometimes I think is more fun than sometimes watching a good film.
Yeah, definitely. I remember going to see a film called The Gallows, awful film, screen 6 at the thing.
Yeah.
And there was a couple behind that watched it, and there's a guy got up, he goes, "That's the worst 15 quid I've ever seen." I still remember. I just remember him saying that. And I have to say that I agree with him, and I'm so glad I didn't pay for it.
But that's the thing. That's the thing. I reckon. Like I think when you go to the cinema, more if you watch a bad film at home on Netflix, like what was that one, Time Trap, that you saw, Sharon?
Time Trap.
Yeah, like you just I don't know. It's weird. If you watch a bad film at home, you feel I've just wasted 2 hours of my life.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you go watch it at the cinema,
you can still have something on hand while you're watching it.
Yeah, but if you go watch if I go watch a bad film at the cinema and I come on and I just come out and I sit down with you guys and go, "You will never believe what I've just seen." It feels like the time has been better spent. I don't know what kind of mind trick it is that the cinema's played, but I went to see Fantasy Island, which was one of those films, which was kind of like,
right,
yeah, which was one of, and I think I spoke about it, but it was one of those things where you're just sitting out there going, "Who the heck released this in cinemas? Who the heck thought that was a good idea?" And Sean, I'll tell you what. Okay, no, I didn't send you guys the Holly interview, but yes. I'll send you the Yatish interview, because there's a whole section of it where we start. Okay, so Sean, you can't believe that I'm giving Invisible Man a bit of a pass for the phasing in and phasing out, and I can't believe that every single time you watch Batman vs Superman, you come back going, "You know what? It wasn't as bad as the last time I watched it." I can't believe that you say that. And there's a whole section in that interview where we go on about, and I
think it's just. The phasing in and out was it opportune times? Do you know what I mean? When I'm talking particularly about the hospital scene.
Yeah.
The hospital scene.
Well, yeah, that's the only
You
place
know
where
what
it
I mean?
happened. Okay, I'll tell you what's going to happen. Right, one of these days, Sean, when we get this film, when we get it on a place where we don't have to pay £15 to see the Invisible Man, you and me are going to have to sit down and watch it and record an audio commentary of that scene as
We
it
do
goes
that.
in.
We'd do that. That's
As
a
it
brilliant
goes
idea.
in, as
That's
it
a
goes
brilliant
in,
idea.
because I think that there's certain bits that, anyway, never mind. I think we have to.
Never mind.
We'll have to record an audio commentary of that scene because there's certain bits where I'm like, no, it works. But yeah, so there's a whole bit where we talk about Batman versus Superman, and I have to admit, there's some films in my life that usually it seems like the films I hate the most. Sean, you're kind of like, you know what? I thought it was all right, like Pompeii. I remember
Oh yeah. Everybody laughs at me for that, but that's just a bit. I like to do that to be a bit contentious. But yeah, no, I mean, I know what you're saying.
Yeah, no.
I just misheard that?
Look at Sharon's face. Look at Sharon's face.
Sharon has just found out
I
that
just misheard. Did you say you liked Pompeii?
Sean is notorious
That was all right.
for saying, it was all right.
It was all right.
Yeah.
I thought it was
Are
a
you
classic
being
thing
ironic?
from old Kiefer Sutherland. Kiefer Sutherland was really good as one of those Roman prelates.
Yeah.
I thought, you know what I mean?
No,
he's
you're
one of his
definitely
best roles.
being
One of Kiefer
ironic.
Sutherland's best roles. That was.
Okay, Sharon.
you are definitely being ironic.
Okay, Sharon, I'll let you take this one because I've been through this with him. So yeah, Pompeii. I didn't like that film.
We'll have to do. Yeah, we'll do a likey, not likey.
Yeah, we'll watch the
sometime,
scene. And you can go through the scene and you can talk about why you don't like it, and I'll go through the scene and talk about why it works. All right, cool. Zoom is telling us we have 5 minutes left, so I think it is
okay.
I think it's time for us to. Sean, you going out for a walk now?
I am. Yes, indeed, I am. Yeah, I will be.
Sharon, what are you going to do the rest of your evening?
Mum and I are going to be watching the last episode of the English Game on Netflix.
Oh, cool. It's not about when the FA Cup started or something.
Yes, it's the beginning of the early days of
I've seen that.
Football in this country.
I've seen two.
Start of the professional game.
I've seen 2 episodes of that. And I haven't bothered to watch the rest. I got a bit mundane. It's where the Millentown, where the 2 Scottish footballers come down. Is it? Is that the one?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
We liked it because it wasn't just about football; it was about the social history. So that's why we liked it.
And I'm gonna try and go away and figure out my continue my wife's sort of like pop cultural knowledge, because my wife has terrible pop culture knowledge. So until we got married, she hadn't seen any of the Back to the Future movies. She hadn't seen any of the Lethal Weapons until she met me. Hadn't seen any of the Die Hards. So we have this constant.
She hasn't missed much then, Toes.
That sounds like a discussion for another time. But I end up having to do all these things, especially now when she gets home from work at the hospital. She wants to watch something happy, so I have to have like a repository of happy things that I think she might like to watch.
Oh, good.
So we're gonna go find I think Hunt for the Wilder People is always top of my list. It's like Hunt for the Wilder People. Watch that.
Sunshine on Leith is a happy film.
Yeah, another film that we saw recently
is a happy film.
Oh, Inside Out. We saw Inside Out as well, and yeah, maybe we'll watch Coco. Coco's an amazing film. Yeah, maybe.
Oh, yeah, that's not a bad one. Yeah,
that might be what I go see tonight. And I might go see Coco. But anyway, just all that's left to say until next week when we'll be playing Yatish's interview and we'll be hearing all this sort of stuff. Is a goodbye from me.
It's a goodbye
from me.
Ooh.
And a goodbye from us.
We're gonna have to practice that. Until next week, guys. See ya.